Welcome, Village Parents. This is Principal Zizi welcoming you to the new year. About to go over some of the logistics to make sure that you feel well prepared and ready. There's a list of topics of what I'll be covering today. Apologies in advance. I'm recording from home, so you may hear the love and crazy that goes on, and we're just going to roll with it. A reminder that as I'm talking, if you have any questions, do be sure to jot them down because we have a Q&A on Tuesday. So if I go over anything too quickly or you want me to clarify because it came across as confusing, do be sure to jot that down and we'll have time to process and talk it out together. A reminder of the Village School Hub. It is a wonderful resource. It has all things Village, PTA events, a calendar, messages from myself, messages from the district, all things that you would want to know. It's a fantastic resource. I highly encourage both new and returning families to take the time so that you feel knowledgeable and up to date and communicated with around the protocols and everything Village. A reminder, please, if you have not yet, take the time to fill out that back to school packet. If you don't know what I'm referring to, go to the Village School Hub and you can figure it out. It's all listed there under your to-do list under the weekly memo. Some of the information I'm about to go over shouldn't be a shock, and it might feel repetitious, and that's just to clarify and make sure that we're consistent in what we're saying. For example, masks. Students are required to wear masks indoors. It is optional outside. We are not enforcing students to wear masks during morning recess and lunch recess. If you as a family want to have a discussion around expectations on wearing masks outside, by all means, of course, we're not going to tell a student to take it off. That is between you and the family if they want to wear masks. One thing I want to be very clear with, though, is I am not asking Yard Duty to check if a family has decided that their child will wear a mask. We are not going to go around enforcing that. So again, that is between you and the family to decide how you are wearing the mask outside. School policy is it's not mandated and we are not enforcing it. Let's talk about morning drop-off. Parents, you have some choices on how you would like to drop off your child in the morning. Be prepared, especially my new families. The parking lot does get backed up and full very quickly. It's a very small parking lot, and we have around 220 students that are trying to get to school. So, if you do choose to use the car, know that somebody will open the door, will have a greeter for you, and we will make sure that your child does get to the right class. They're in great hands. We highly encourage you to walk. It is way less stressful. It starts the day great. You can walk, of course, from home if you can, or new families, there's a place called Nordal Hall. We'll emphasize that at a later time if you want to know where it is and what I'm referring to. But you can park, take a little walk, come on and drop them off. Now, what's new this year compared to last year is you now have the ability to walk onto campus. You have to remain outside in the courtyard, but if you want to walk your child to class, you may. Very clear expectations. If you're choosing to do that, you will wear a mask. If you forget a mask, then you can just walk them up to the sidewalk. You let us know, and we'll take it over from there, just as if they were getting out of the car. We'll make sure that your child gets to the right class. I have a lot of questions about this new 10-minute protocol. And scanning back a bit before I continue, I want to emphasize that all of these protocols and procedures go back to the safety of all the students and families. We really want to minimize any unnecessary risks and exposures. And I know while some of these things may seem frustrating and limiting, possibly, do know that at the heart of it, I know that we all want to do what's best for kids, protecting the safety of not just the kids, the staff, and the families. So a lot of this has to do with the tracking and tracing, definition of a close contact, and minimizing possible exposures. Knowing that, I know we can come together and do this right. So the 10 minutes is 10 minutes total, meaning that if you have multiple children, you're going to have to make choices. You can split up that time. You might have one child that needs a little bit more emotional support in the day to ease in the transition. You can choose to split up that time how you will. I'm also expecting you as adults to manage that. If you come a little bit earlier, you know that you have 10 minutes when you walk in. I'm not checking when I see people and starting a timer. How I am enforcing and making sure that we're following the protocol is if the door opens from any door on campus I'm allowing 5 minutes to walk off. Now, it doesn't take 5 minutes even from the furthest corner. I'm a slow walker and I timed it. However, if you do walk on, give your child a warm goodbye, and you walk away from 8:02, fourth and fifth grader, that door opens at 8:02. That means if you have 5 minutes to turn around and walk, most of you will be gone before then, but 8:07 at the latest, I should see no fourth and fifth grade parents. Kinder through third grade, your doors open at 8:22. So if you walked your child to make sure that they, got into line and you see the door opening and you feel good, you're going to turn around and leave. Again, it doesn't take 5 minutes, but from my angle, to make sure that we're enforcing this correctly, by 8:27, that means all parents should be off of campus. So again, I know that this might seem very unvillagey. The purpose of the drop-off is not to socialize. It's not to talk with the teacher. It's not to make those connections. Those connections are so important to us. We're social. We're nice. We want to chit-chat and talk, especially when we see people after so long that we may not have. That can all be encouraged as you walk off. Say, hey, let's meet at the sidewalk. Hey, let's meet at Nordal Hall. Offsite locations, of course, we encourage that. Those connections between you and the teacher can be done at other points throughout the day, at other times. There'll be many opportunities for relationship building, but to be very clear, the intent of allowing parents to walk your children to school is to get them onto campus, make sure they're in the right line. When you see the teacher open the door, you're not going up to the teacher and talking. You're just saying goodbye to your student and you're leaving. I know nobody wants to feel confronted or rude, but it is something that I'm going to have to make sure that we enforce. So again, the intent is to, if you so choose, to walk your child to the classroom. You're staying in the courtyard. You're not going into the classroom. It is not to socialize. The focus is on your child, making sure they have a great time, great start to the day, and then we can leave. Any conversations that you want to have with other parents, by all means, continue it off campus. What to provide your child with, if you can, a backpack would be wonderful so they can bring all the joys that they create home. An extra mask. Since we are allowing masks to go off, or kids can take off their masks during recess, I'm imagining a lot more possibilities of losing masks throughout the day. So if you want to provide an extra mask for your child, that would be very helpful. We'll have spares in the office, just like we did last year, so no stress if you forget. We do have some provided, but I highly encourage, if you can, to provide an extra mask. Water fountains are now available. However, I'm really emphasizing and encouraging refillable water bottles. We have a refillable station, so your child can just fill up that water bottle and drink from that throughout the day. New families, this probably doesn't shock you as much as my returning families, because we used to have something called community snack. As of now in the fall, we are asking that each family provide their own snack for their child. We'll get to community snack. We can bring that up as a topic of discussion throughout the year later, depending on the pandemic. Right now, we're following the nutritional services guidance, and we're following kind of the lunch protocols. So right now, everything is still very individualized to minimize possible risk of exposures and transference. A reminder to dress in layers. It can be rather cold in the morning and then heat up rather quickly, and vice versa. So do dress in layers. Make sure, if you can, write your child's name in Sharpie on everything that you bring. And if you so choose, if you want your child to wear sunscreen, remember to put that on in the morning before you drop them off. Toys and candy are fun, just please enjoy them at home. We are not responsible. They are not allowed at school, and they will be taken from your child if we do see them. Lunch. You have a choice. You can either bring from home, or we do provide hot lunch. Hot lunch, there is no form, there's no fee. Menu, once we receive one, will also be provided. You can choose as a family if you just want to do 1 day, 2 day, all 5 days. We just ask that your child knows. Your teacher will ask who needs hot lunch. All the child has to do is be able to say yes or no, raise their hand, let the teacher know, and then your child will be provided hot lunch. Again, no fees, no form to fill out. Just make sure your kid knows when you drop them off if they're getting a hot lunch or not. Pickup. So again, going back to the larger picture of following the protocols for close contacts and tracking and tracing purposes. This, again, we've got some options. Talking about the loop in the parking lot, what I mean by that is we're all getting it at 2:30, it's going to bottleneck. We know this. So some of the things is if the cars get backed up to the street, we ask that you go into the inner loop and continue to loop around until there is either a space or you see your child in that pickup lane. A common complaint is if you are in the loop and you are waiting, some people wait until they see their child when the person behind you or two cars down might see their child, and they're getting frustrated that the person isn't looping and continuing that movement. So please be mindful if you are in the inner loop circle and you're driving, not just to wait because you don't see your own child, but to continue looping because somebody behind you might see their child and is waiting to go and pick them up. Again, we highly encourage walking as much as possible. If you want to walk and wait at the gate, that is the district protocol to have parents wait at the gate. Now, because we all end at 2:30 and we have such a small campus with gates, we know that the bottlenecking is just going to be way too hard as a system to enforce. So what we've allowed is as parents, you can walk in just like in the morning, you're staying in that courtyard, the playground is off limits. If all the doors open at 2:30, you as parents, you have 5 minutes to greet your child and escort them off. It is not time to talk to your teacher and ask them how your child's day was. It is not time to talk to other parents that you see. It really isn't the intent. If you want to come in, you are more than welcome. But as soon as your child comes out that door, you're walking with them to the main gate. Scenario, what if your child needs the restroom as they leave? That's fine. They can use the restroom. You are going to say, I'll wait for you outside by the main gate. Parents are off campus by 2:35. That is my way of checking to ensure that we are enforcing these protocols in place. Now, allowing parents on campus for pickup and drop off is very different from the parent volunteers on campus requirements. Any parent is welcome to come in the morning and the afternoon to pick up or drop off their child as long as you are wearing a mask. That is very different from the volunteer requirements if you're volunteering on campus. A note before I continue that volunteering can be anywhere. It can be off campus and it can be on campus. So I'm continuing to talk about the volunteers while on campus. Village thrives on many volunteer opportunities. Some are off campus and some are when children are not on campus. This is specific to when you are interacting with children on campus. Those requirements, the volunteer work must be deemed essential to the work of the school and running of the school. The parent must provide proof that they are fully vaccinated, and the volunteers around children shall be outside. Now, even in a quote normal year, teachers and staff ask for some time before we invite parent volunteers on campus, where we will discuss this as a staff to see if we need some more time to process and understand the protocols that we need to put in place before allowing the parent volunteers on campus. So you are more than welcome. We have some systems in place. We will let you know when parent volunteers are welcomed and invited on campus. So more to come on that. I just wanted you as a community to hear what the requirements are. And we, of course, will keep you involved and updated as we go throughout the year. One last piece before we wrap this up, attendance. Do email Veronica the specifics. If your child is absent, could you please state why they're absent? State specifically the symptom and when it started. This will save her so much time going back and forth and following up and figuring things out. If we could just all start with at least these 3 things, we can help navigate and say next steps or what's required from us as far as the COVID protocols that we have in place. And also a reassurance that Village, we do not judge. If you have to take the day off with your child and it is not because they are ill, we understand. We can talk about the next steps and how that's recorded in attendance, but we would much prefer you to feel that you can communicate that with us. For example, there is no reason to pretend that your child is sick. when in reality you just needed a day with your family to meet with your aunt who's visiting, or for whatever reason. Let's just own it and be honest, and that will save us a lot of time, because if you do pretend like, oh, my child threw up, well, now we have to put that in we have to log it, we have to say 24 hours, we have to say COVID. We have all these processes in place that would be completely unnecessary if you had just said, no, we're just taking a day off to deal with X, Y, and Z. So do know that we're here for you. We'll walk you through it step by step around all the protocols. We just ask that the communication is up front so that we can help best support. Email is the best way to do that. If you do have to call this phone system, if you say the name Veronica, it doesn't always get to her. So do be sure to say the word secretary, and that will get to her much faster. So again, email is better, but we totally understand in the moment you might not find the email. Call might be better. Just when you get into the system, please say secretary instead of Veronica. Looking ahead, as I said, I'm hosting an optional Q&A if you'd like some more time to discuss what I've stated, or if there's something really big that I didn't discuss that you were hoping I would have. Do join us 9 a.m. for Zoom, Tuesday, August 17th, and we will talk about that. We have a new parent orientation hosted by the PTA, that is Zoom. And of course, the first day of school, I cannot wait to greet you all in person as you come in. PTA is hosting a courtyard coffee, not on campus, but off-site across at Nerdle Hall. Many more calendar updates can be found at the Village School Hub. Be sure to check that out for all things Village. Like I said, way more information on that. That was a lot of information that I just went over. Do know that if you forget all of the details, what I want you walking away with is a sense that we are prepared. All you have to do is bring your child. We will make sure that they are in great hands, and you pick them up. If you forget anything, we'll have extras. We'll have extra snacks ready on hand. We'll have extra masks. They can get water. They are in great hands, and we cannot wait to greet them with the warmth and kindness that they deserve. We know some children might be experiencing different type of anxieties and nervousness, and that's okay. We just can't wait to greet them and welcome them and be part of Village. We cannot do this without you as parents and families. I want to make sure that you feel validated, valued, and heard. You're definitely part of the process. We cannot do this without you. If any of these protocols or, logistics change because of the pandemic, or any of the updates through district and county guidelines, we will update you. You will feel very communicated with and part of the process. And with that, I cannot wait to greet you all and see you all in person. I will be smiling under the mask and seeing you all this Thursday. Have a great one. Bye, everyone.